So moving on to our next story, we have some breaking news, at least as of this recording. It is breaking news, so we're actually cutting up. We're changing the order of some of the stuff that we were talking about today. It'll be changed up most likely on the YouTube channel. Those guys on the radio, you guys will just be hearing it as you hear it. So when it comes to Star Wars movies, Tristan, have you heard the news? Because everyone was talking about it before I even got the chance to read up on it. But now I've read up on it, of course. But did you hear the news, Tristan, about Star Wars movies?
Yes, I did.
So apparently, Disney is trying to take our nostalgia and rip it for all it's worth until all of us are sitting around going, Star Wars. Because we are getting a new trilogy starting in 2022, which will come out every 2 years. So 2022, 2024, and 2026. And then side note, we're not going to talk about this too much, but side note, in the odd years, so 2023 and 2025, we're getting new Avatar movies. So for any of you Avatar fans, for any of you Avatar fan out there it is. No, I'm kidding. They're Avatar fans. But, I even didn't dislike Avatar when I first saw it. It just didn't really click with me. And everyone was like, this is visually stunning. And I'm like, it looks good. It really looked great for its time, definitely. But it didn't really, I don't know. It's no Star Wars. Putting the two next to each other, it's like, well, it's no Star Wars. But, Tristan, how do you feel about this? Because I'm extremely wary. How do you feel about it? And I'll tell you why after, because I want to hear what you have to say, because you're obviously such a huge Star Wars fan, bigger than I am. So, how does this make you feel when we don't even have Episode 9 out yet?
Yeah, there is the obvious concern of burnout. A lot of people argue that you can feel that with superhero movies nowadays. Personally, I'm excited. I'm always happy to hear more Star Wars. Really, in my opinion, as long as the stories are good, bring it on.
Well, you see, that's the thing for me. I want to cut in with one little thing, because you just said that. If it's not episode 10, 11, and 12, I will say it will get me excited.
Right.
But if they're going to tell me,
hey, I would kind of hope that it's more like one-offs for a while before we get a new trilogy. Granted, who knows what that trilogy would be about? So
but still, because here's the thing, right? Even if you tell me, not you personally, Tristan, but the general, the creatives at Disney say, hey, we're actually never going to bring any of these characters back from 7, 8, and 9. This is their thing. They'll come back as cameo roles and voiceover stuff. Maybe some, cool Big Finish type stuff like Doctor Who does. But we're not going to ever bring them back in a movie role, for the big screen after 9 is done. If that's the case, okay, fair. If you do 10, 11, and 12 in the next 3 years, perhaps. But I just feel as if, look, I'm not saying we need to have a huge gap, like the gap between the original movies and episodes 1, 2, and 3. But I think looking at the gap between, because I looked this up, I wanted to make sure I was right about this before we started the podcast, or started talks. We're talking about the story. When looking at episode 3 and episode 7, there was a 10-year gap. Now, yes, if Lucas potentially had been able to do what he wanted to do, maybe it would have been a little bit earlier than 10 years. But still, it was a 10-year gap. That's not bad. I think about it, and I was like, wow, it felt like it was ages. Probably because, 2005, I'm 13 years old, versus being 23. That is a long time, to be fair, especially, in your head. But for me, I just think that, even the idea of, again, if it's not episode 10, 11, and 12, that would interest me. But even still, though, unless it's 3, because like you were saying, if it's spin-offs, 3 separate movies and they have no connection to each other, that's how we can turn Star Wars into this type of superhero franchise situation where, yes, it's under the same universe, but each one doesn't connect, and that's okay.
Right.
Now, of course, someone might be like, Matt, you're telling me every Marvel movie doesn't connect? Like, yes, they do, but, like, my mom could watch Ant-Man and find something fun in Ant-Man. Or, heck, my mom saw Guardians of the Galaxy before I did, but she barely sees Marvel movies. She was just like, oh, that looks like a funny movie. There's a talking raccoon. She and my grandma went to see it. They loved it. They found it hilarious.
Right.
That's the thing. So, like, that's the thing with Marvel movies. So, like, if Star Wars starts to do something like that, where, we can, the same way that they have The Mandalorian coming to Disney+, if you create stories that people who, yes, like Star Wars can enjoy, but could also be accessible to those who don't know Star Wars, and some could say, well, isn't that, it wasn't Episode 7 arguably a little bit like that because people do know, like, you had to know certain bits of Star Wars. But when you saw Episode 7, yes, it might have meant a lot to you to see Han Solo after all these years. But even if you had, like, a vague inkling of who Han Solo is, like, I feel like you could still follow the film, if you're not crazy into Star Wars for Episode 7. But I feel like, as of this point, though, it's kind of like you guys, just Disney in general, needs to, like, step back and be like, okay, we're not going to in 3 years, because that's 3 years. To some people it might sound like a lot, but, like, my God, that's really, I mean, think about it like this, Tristan. 2015, which 4 years ago at this point, was when Episode 7 came out.
Right.
Doesn't seem like it was that long ago, to me anyway.
Yeah. Right.
But, yeah, so what I'm saying is that, like, in less time than it took from Episode 7 7 to 9 to come out, in less time we're going to be getting a new movie. So again, it has to not be an Episode 10.
Yeah, I guess I would have given it 5.
Yes,
like,
same.
I know they don't want to wait too long, and, like, hey, I get that. But, at the same time, it feels like these are a bit too close to each other.
Yeah, and no, here's the thing, I don't get that, because Star Wars is essentially as American as apple pie at this point. It's Star Wars. It's been around but think about how long Star Wars has been around, and I can't even say the phrase is persevered, because it has blown up. Like, it is, like, I would argue Star Wars is not even just as bigger than it was even when it originally, when it started picking up steam within, after Episode 6, it's bigger now than it even was then, in a sense. Just with how much media can exist that it could seep into.
At this point.
Yes, of course. And what I'm trying to get at here, though, Tristan, is you need that time, though, for other people to enjoy not just the existing media, but also what is to come next. So I don't want it to seem like Star Wars is just part of, like, even though, like I said, it's American, like, oh, it's funny to say American, but, like, it's become part of the culture. That doesn't necessarily mean that it should become like, oh, yeah, Star Wars again. Like, I don't want it to seem like it's too much of a given. Even though there's a lot of the universe to explore, I don't want it to become like it's just commonplace. Like, yeah, another Star Wars. Should I go see this Star Wars? I don't know if I should see this Star Wars. I'll see the next Star Wars. But what were you going to say, Tristan?
Yeah, because you don't want it to get to that point either.
Yeah. But what were you going to say? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is this, though. So for me, like I said a little bit earlier, if it's all standalones, I'd enjoy it. I'm wondering, would you think they'd try to go for a standalone again after what happened with Solo? I don't think Solo should really shape where they go with, because obviously if you make a Vader movie or you make a Yoda movie or you make an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, that'll do well.
Obi-Wan or Boba Fett or basically anyone. You could literally point at anyone in that universe and be like, you're getting a backstory.
For the most part. I mean, like, even if it's like, for the most part, I think you can create good movies with many of the characters from 4, 5, and 6. So I think if it's just they're all standalone, they don't really connect.
Bounty hunters. Shit, you could even have, like, a Marvel universe with just bounty hunters coming together. That would be hilarious, actually.
It would.
They wouldn't be good guys. It would kind of be more like Suicide Squad, wouldn't it? Oh, God.
Which, I don't know about that. But I
know, I'm not saying that would be the best idea, but that's actually kind of funny just thinking about it.
No, but you have a lot to work with in the universe, which is why I hope that this next trilogy, it steps away from lightsabers, or these next three movies, steps away from, I mean, granted, again, if it's Yoda, obviously lightsabers will be included, but you see where I'm coming from, though, Tristan. I hope that they don't just go, 10, 11, and 12, we're going to have it be around the Jedi and the Skywalker, but, let's just assume, by the way, Episode 9 is about the quote-unquote Skywalker name being passed on. You and I talked about this potential idea when we talked about the trailer. Let's say that actually comes to fruition, right? So the Jedi, the Skywalker name gets passed on. Anyone can be a Skywalker. I just don't want it to be like Episode 10, 100 years in the future. Now it's the Skywalker clan. And also we're going to use CG to have a brief cameo by Finn or someone else 100 years older. How cool would that be? Right. It's like, look, I like TNG, but you don't have to TNG this or anything like that. You just let's just leave it. If you even try to do an Episode 10, go elsewhere. It doesn't have to be about the Skywalkers, which sounds crazy to some people, but it's like you've had 9 movies that have had some tie-in to Skywalkers in some way or another. I know it wasn't the Luke that people wanted, okay, but still, 9 films over 40 years were good. I think, and someone says, Matt, I think that's blasphemous. All right, but then at least wait the 5 years. But to say in 3 years, we're getting, because that's the thing too, eventually, because, and look, this isn't Star Wars, this isn't Disney's fault necessarily, and I don't even want to necessarily say, I blame you, Lucas. But hear me out though, Tristan. When 4, 5, and 6 came out, and yes, Episode 4 wasn't originally called Episode 4. It was just Star Wars. But when it had the Episode 4 moniker, and then you had 5, and then you had 6, and then Lucas was like, how about we do some prequels? And then they went to 1, 2, and 3, and it's like, okay. And then we go to 7, 8, and 9. At this point, though, with Marvel movies, yes, you do have to watch some other ones to get certain key things here and there. But at a certain point, it's going to feel like comics in a certain way, where it's like, is this issue 1000? Can I just jump in at any point? Or because it's you're going to have a kid eventually that you're going to have to tell them, not maybe your kid, but a nephew, niece, or something, hey, because if it's your kid, you both would be watching Star Wars. You'd love it. But, a niece or a nephew or something who'd be like, hey, I know you said you want to watch Star Wars, Junior, and you're a little bit confused because we're at Episode 25. But, all the other episodes are necessary. And there's some cool spin-offs. Kid's going to be like, I just want to play my new video game, which won't be Fortnite. It'll be something like it, though. I want to just play my new video game. That's a lot. So, I'm not saying they have to remove the episode moniker, but they're going to have to do an episode reboot of some type, not of the original episodes, but of actually saying, look, this is Episode 10, but it's a new thing. These 9 don't exactly tie in. There's little fun Easter eggs. You'll see some aliens in the background that but this can't be the same story for the last 40 years just continued on again. It gets to a point where it's a bit much, every franchise, especially ones that didn't get, as much love maybe back in their heyday, they have something to continue things for the fans nowadays. They'll have a TV show, or they'll have another movie, or maybe another 2 movies. It'll happen. But after a while, it's that movie is made to close off some things, or that TV show is made to maybe continue the adventures, but also close things off a bit if they could.
Right.
It's not made to just keep on going and going and going, because it's are we really going to be I don't want to do this to us, Tristan, because I don't want to do this to us. But are we going to be 80, 86 with Episode 75 or some shit. Like,
yes.
It's good that they brought Ray back with CGI.
Load me up into the truck. I am going to the theater.
Grandpa, like, we don't need to do that. Jesus.
I'm in like Vader's chamber.
Oh my God.
Like, the wheelchair swivels around and the helmet is put onto my head. Oh God.
Jesus. But you see where I'm coming from, though. Like,
you have to do that every time we go out? Yes. Yes,
yeah,
child.
So
Now push me to the car, please.
Oh my God. So you don't think you would experience burnout if it was episode 10, 11, and 12?
I mean, it's like I said.
If the
I'm
stories
always
are good,
up for something new. Exactly. If we get to a point where, the writing becomes weaker, to me, then yeah.
So, okay, to be fair, so then what you're saying is the name isn't relevant. It's the story.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And you know what? That's fair, right? Because, again, like I just said myself, episode 10 is really just a vessel. Whatever story is told through it, as long as it... So, but do you think... Would you feel upset if they were like, in 3 years, episode 10, and also all the guys and gals and everybody else from episode 9 are going to be in episode 10? Like, would you feel upset if it's just a continuation of this trilogy?
No, actually, I don't think so, because...
Okay, I would be infuriated.
I would kind of like to get, like, see... I mean, depending on what happens in 9, like, we don't even know really how things are going to wrap up here.
Which is also bullshit, too. Like, let us fucking have this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, okay. It's like when, before Endgame, we had a Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. Hey, guys.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Let us have Endgame first, and then drop the cool shit about, the next movie.
I would say at least let 9 come out and then talk about the future.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
But because my thing is... Yeah, and also another thing, too, is that, like, the reason why I don't want any of these characters returning is because, like, I want... a trilogy, like, are movies meaningless now? Trilogies are supposed to be their own thing. Yes, you can continue, obviously. I'm not saying no franchise has had more than a trilogy. That's silly. But I'm saying that, like, these characters, at least for Star Wars, I'm referring to Star Wars franchise, there's a trilogy for a reason, right? Like, yes, there's more of Luke, Han, and Leia in these 3 movies, but their stories, in my opinion, were told in 4, 5, and 6. There's more of them, but really they are there to help support all of these newer characters in 7, 8, and 9. And then same thing with 1, 2, and 3, which I've been told over and over do exist, but I'm still a little bit confused about that. But 1, 2, and 3 do exist. They were films, and Jar Jar is real. So, but again, that's what I've been told. I'm just doing this to mess with Tristan. We've reviewed all 3.
You know what?
What?
I mean, it'll never happen. But could you imagine there's just a one-off, and it's just titled Binks? Just the amount of rage.
I would go see that.
You're damn right I would go see that. Just
for the sheer... Because I would go see it because I'd want to see, like, if he really, like... Because I want to see Jar Jar bumble his way into some really crazy shit. And then using...
the Clone Wars.
I know. No, but I meant something with the Hutts, and I just want him to...
Oh, my God. Holy shit.
I just want him to, like, accidentally overhear, like, a mob hit.
Oh, my God.
And then he's on the run for, like, the entire movie.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
I like this plot. I like where this is going.
Oh, my God. It would just be funny to me. But still, here's the thing, right? So when it comes to to these trilogies, each one is supposed to. So like this 1, 2, and 3. Oh, this is about Anakin, right? And we're never really going to see him again necessarily because Vader is gone. So like we're seeing Anakin, and even though I disagree with what they did with it, still Anakin and these other characters. And then it's like 7, 8, 9, of course, these new characters. If they're just going to sit there and be like 10, 11, and 12, these same new characters, like the only thing I would agree with, somewhat.
Yeah. No, I would like to see them more in like a mentor role, like Han, Luke, and Leia had taken.
But here's what sucks: they're going to have to get recast.
Right.
I mean, I don't feel comfortable having an entire movie with all 3 of them in prosthetics 50 years later.
Right, yeah.
With prosthetics and CG walking around. It's just
that's
like...
why, if we had another 10 years in between, it would make much more sense.
Exactly. So, I mean, again, like, it's just a thing where I don't want there to be burnout. And I'm not saying there can't be there is a big enough universe. I would argue big enough universe in Star Wars and even Marvel, at least with what Marvel has shown us so far. Because, once we get to, like, Eternals, things are a bit different. And, like, that when we get to Galactus and stuff like that, things are a bit different. But, like, with what Marvel has shown us right now in movie form, I would argue Star Wars has a bigger universe right now. But you got to show it to us.
Right.
And I don't think they're doing a good job of that. You and I talked about that when we did for Star Wars Wednesday. We reviewed episodes 1, 2, and 3, and we were like, man, isn't it fucking convenient? Literally, every single plot point. Whoa, that's so convenient. Such a large galaxy. And yet it's just like, oh, who made C-3PO? Little Annie, who also, by the way, is just convenient. Like, everything's just super duper convenient at all times. Instead of it being like, there's a huge fucking universe, let's go explore it. That's what Clone Wars did.
Right.
Which, make a Clone Wars movie. All right. Like an actual good Clone Wars movie. Not like we're just starting the wars. No, deep in the war.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that would be... That's the thing. You have plenty of eras, even ones that haven't been up on the big screen, which I have heard... Now, I'm not going to substantiate because I don't know the validity of any of this. There have been talks, across the internet about Disney possibly looking at the Old Republic, which has pretty much only been through, I guess novels. So, novels, comics, and games. They've never had, a movie for them. So that might be interesting for a trilogy, if that's where they edit.
Yeah, no, they just have to get away from either the name or this story that they're telling. They've told it. We're good. You want to get back to it for a nostalgia pop in 10 to 20 years? Call us. But we're good right now. Right. That's my take on it. But either way, though, as we're wrapping this one up, I want to hear what all of you guys have to say down in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you think that, no, all Star Wars is good Star Wars? Or at the very least, new Star Wars is great all the time? Because I just, and I'm not saying that you think that, Tristan, but just in general, for me, it's that's something that I just think that eventually you can get tired, even if they're all good stories. Eventually it's going to be it's just, I don't know. I feel like eventually it can become tiring, especially with it seeming like it's all prepped and planned out, and we know not that we know all the details of the new movies, but like I said earlier, goddamn, just wait a second. Once the movie drops, then a day later, oh, by the way, new movie 2022. No details, but just so you guys know. It's oh, okay.
That's fair.
But anyway, and also just a small quote from the CEO, Bob Iger, who said something that he's not technically wrong. I just think that's very not. I don't want to say it's a dumb statement, but because this is quoted in the article that we have down in the description box, where he said that he was quoted as saying this back in May. He said that the film franchise will go on a quote unquote bit of a hiatus. So, unless he's saying that yes, this film franchise, i.e., these episodes aren't going to be picked up in 2022, I don't think 3 years is a quote unquote bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel weird about the phrase, it's going on a bit of a hiatus. Oh, how long? 3 years. Really? Because here's the thing. We still have Star Wars TV shows and, video games and, comics and, I don't know.
Right,
it's weird to say, this is going on a bit of a hiatus when it's to me, a bit of a hiatus is 5 years. I know that might seem like I'm just semantics at this point, but, I don't know. A 3-year gap to me is not a bit of a hiatus. That seems to me like it's real quick.
Right.
I know for some people 3 years.
For something as big as this too, the amount of work that goes into these movies. It's you can take a bit more. I get it, guys. You can take your time. I love Star Wars. I'll wait for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, good. I'm happy you agree with me there. I was worried you're going to be 3 years is long. But I think you and I, just being 26, we're actually 3 years can go by real quick. You don't realize it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, good. Because I was worried you were going to be hey, come on, 3 years is long. But I'm happy you
and that's why I'm saying,
yeah.
If we went 3 years without any of them, I'd be a little, okay.
You mean no comics, no games,
yeah,
no
if
books?
If we went 3 years nothing, I'd be whoa, what happened? Is everything okay?
Did Thanos snap affect this galaxy, or?
Yeah, Jesus. But for a big trilogy like this, or just talking about the movies, I would like a one-off here and there. Even if there was a year in between, okay, we have a Star Wars movie next year. No, then the year after that we have one.
Oh, yes, every 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a big trilogy to come out again, you could wait another 5 for that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Because when he says the films will be on a bit of a hiatus, and it's oh wow, how long? 3 years. Okay. It just seems like a very short amount of time for like you said, a big trilogy. But anyway, again, you can disagree with us. Please tell us what you think about all of this stuff, everything in the article, everything about the new movies, and maybe even your thoughts on episode 9, even though it hasn't come out yet, down in the comment section down below.